Okay, so becoming conscious of the ground and also becoming conscious of the line of gravity. And just work your body, posture, just move a little bit and see if you can find an agreement with the vertical line of gravity. Find an agreement through your body. And as you do so, you might feel the pressure in the bottoms of your feet increase. But that doesn't cause you to collapse if you're continuing to search for that vertical line. Let that vertical line also work through each arm. Being willing to enter the ground, fully enter the ground completely, and then find the vertical lines of gravity. So, micro adjustments throughout the body, every part of the body, finding that agreement with the vertical line of gravity. And let that all enter the ground through the feet. Release the abdomen, hang the hips. Rotate around your vertical axis to begin some very gentle arm swings. And just rotating around this very, very fine, sharp line. As you continue to hang out, as you continue to agree with gravity through the body, through the feet. But you're agreeing with gravity and aligning with the verticality of gravity. And just rotating around that very, very fine, sharp axis. Releasing the abdomen. Again, let those shoulders just sit and hang. Let the hips hang. Let all that weight enter the ground. And still finding places in your body where it droops away from the vertical line of gravity. It can be any part and all parts of the body. Come back to agreement with those vertical lines, even as we go into movement. Let gravity completely take the arms, and then pulsing and giving the intention to swing the arms. And then get that pulse to drive those arm swings, releasing the abdomen. So each time you pulse into the ground, press into the ground with your feet, that sends the arms out to the sides. You don't have to do that. Press in the ground like you're springing off a diving board. And just your intentional vectors are the reason why your arms get flung out to the sides. Then after you pulse into the ground, you just drop. Bend your knees, hang, drop, and that brings the arms back in. So alignment, relaxation, intentional vectors. vertical lines of gravity, agreeing with such, joining the ground, using the ground. And then one foot in front of the other. Same technology, pulsing into the ground. Now it's 1 foot at a time. So now as you pulse in the ground to send you back, pulse through the back leg to send you forward. Each time you pulse, press into the ground, try to be so relaxed that it opens the bones of your feet. Each time you press down, your foot splays open. The bones of the feet splay open because you're pressing further weight, further pressure through the foot. And the foot is relaxed, not tight and hard. So you're opening the foot, the bones of the foot splaying apart each press. And then have that same relaxed pliability be through the entire body. So it's not dead soft. It's not pliable in a passive, dead way. It's very soft and flexible. It's like a trampoline. If the trampoline is too soft, there's not enough tension in the trampoline, it doesn't work as a trampoline. So there's that dynamic stretch, and each time you press into the ground, stretching the fascia and the tissues and literally opening the bones away from each other, just like a trampoline. So the fascia connects with tissues, the body becomes like a trampoline. Generate a lot of natural power that's not dependent upon muscle size and muscle strength. Releasing the abdomen. So that applies to the back foot too, right? Press down the back foot, opens up the foot, and that trampoline effect reverberates through your entire body. Of course, you switch your feet whenever you like. So relaxation, alignment, using the ground. But we're also more and more working that line of force up from the ground through your body. The ground force through the ground path. So more and more that opening of the foot transfers up your body. So the ground force comes in, the more you press down, the more ground force comes up. And that opening in the foot relates to every joint in the body. Ankle joints, open and release. Knee joints, open and release. Hip joints, open and release. Spine, the vertebrae, open and release. Fascia relaxes and stretches, relaxes and stretches, relaxes and stretches with the same pulsing of the foot. So your whole body eventually becomes this trampoline, this spring. The whole body becomes unified, coordinated. So for example, when you shift the weight back, that shouldn't be coming back, embracing yourself to push forward. If you don't have much strength, that has to occur, tightening, embracing. As you have more strength and ability to relax, takes those two things, alignment and strength, and relaxation, coming back is settling into the trampoline. Coming back is dropping into the trampoline, which pushes you back. For the trampoline to push us back, it has to sink, it has to drop. So this is coming back here, dropping into the back leg, back foot. That's the drop into the trampoline. It gives back. And the same thing to the front. Dropping down will send you back. Dropping down, opening and releasing, not bracing. Opening and releasing. Hopefully, all of you have had some experience on a trampoline. If not, you could probably do a thought experiment to really captivate and optimize the collective kinetic power of the trampoline. Not only do you have to drop down to stretch the tissue, stretch the fascia of the trampoline, stretching the bones apart and the fascia, you have to drop down to do that, stretch it, and then it has the potential energy, stored kinetic energy to push you back. But it's not optimized and it's not coordinated if you don't time yourself with that rebound, with that return, with that bouncing back. If you time yourself with that, open up your structure and body with it, you have a combination, a collection of power coming together. So if you can imagine that I'm missing that second half, so I know I have to drop down to engage and activate the trampoline. Let's say I do that, but then I stay like this. I drop down to activate the initial power, initial energy, but I stay like this. Your trampoline will still give back. It'll push me back up. I might even lift up off the trampoline a tiny bit if I really press down strong. But I'm not captivating that energy. So if I can drop down and then align and coordinate with that push back, with that echo, that bounce, then I can go many, many feet in the air. So there's that collective unification of energy, timing, and coordination. So I want to come back, release, relax, open, and then there's a pushback, a release, relax, open. So when I come down, I want to release, relax, sink, depress the trampoline, and then pulse back, open, ankles, knee, hips, through the spine. So in other words, it's a very active thing eventually. It's very conscious, very active, and there's a very refined sequence and timing. We really can capitalize upon that elastic storing of potential energy and coordinated elastic release of that energy. Then you can generate a lot of power and also structural strength without size being a factor at all, and without strength being a factor. So connecting to the ground, very, very simple beginning part of that, or beginner to start, is just use the feet, press into the ground, come from the feet, let that work up through your body. Okay, coming back, our center, again, vertical agreement. Allowing, entering into the ground, releasing tension consciously on each out breath. By the way, if anything I say seems too abstract or you're not sure what I mean, feel free to jump in, ask questions, or make comments. Okay, so let's go right into the 9th Q program, which again is new with this situation. So there's some good foundational movements there. Let's get through that. So we'll go right into Irimi Amiyashi Tenkai. So if we take Migi Hanmi, right side forward, Irimi Amiyashi 45 degrees, Tenkai 180 degrees. So right side forward. So Irimi Amiyashi Tenkai. Okay, so again, forward stance, we're choosing to have a forward stance each time. So we're cultivating a strong attitude, strong energy, a arrow type of energy, emphasizing the Irimi energy, Irimi mind. as opposed to rocking back unconsciously. There's nothing wrong with coming back and sliding back. In fact, that's a normal part of our repertoire. It's a natural option, but we don't want that to be a unconscious thing and a slumping thing, a kind of losing of physical structure and mental structure. So we're choosing forward stance. So as I go into Irimi Amiashi, the weight is slightly, about 60% forward. As I do my Tenkai, that's a forward stance. We can always choose to take a back stance or change that stance, but we want to cultivate this strong outward flow. In fact, let's just do Tenkai a few times, emphasizing that everything's out, flowing out, out, without leaning. Try to correct any leaning. That's not a bad thing, because the leaning is a reflection of a strong forward attitude. If that's the case, that's a good thing. We just need to refine that. Come back to vertical agreement. Let's just try a few just basic Tenkai. Sink into the ground, vertical agreement, and we're focusing on having this outflow. So they'll naturally create a slight forward stance, not leaning per se, but a slight forward stance. And then our default setting is to enter, to pierce, to take ownership of the space. Okay. Irimi Amiashi Tenkai again, right side forward. Irimi Amiashi, forward stance, Tenkai, forward stance. Okay, let's do a few on 2 counts. So each, knee. Each, knee. Each, knee. Okay, how about you continue with my count, and I'll just take a look, see how it's coming across. Ready? Each, knee. Each, knee. Each, knee. Couple more. Each, knee. Each, knee. Okay, so again, I have to make it big. What's happening on Tenkai a little bit. Again, I have to make it big, so it's obvious. So I'm just going to do Tenkai. Did you catch that? Maybe it's hard to see with the lighting in the distance.
You're coming up in the arc of the turn.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that I was a little bit surprised. I didn't see much of that actually in the Irimi Amiashi. So this part was pretty stable. Then there was, so this part was pretty stable, and then there was that. Not that big, but so there is Irimi Amiashi. For me, I call that an empty spot, empty place. It's light, empty as opposed to full. Empty as opposed to grounded and full. So you're always filling the space. If invading the space, if that word invading might have an aggressive connotation to it, so let's find another word. You just continue to fill the space. Certainly we've used that term a great deal. Filling the space. So this Tenkai, where we emphasize this forwardness. And if we have groundedness and forwardness, we want that to be pervasive and only getting more and more and more and more. So maybe I'm filling the space here. Irimi Amiashi, filling the space. Tenkai, fill the space again. So I want to fill that throughout. In fact, and it feels really good. It feels really good when you do this. That only gets more and more so. I'm going to exaggerate. Let's see if it comes across. I'm not sure if it will. My structure is going to be different to give you the sense that it only increases. Weapons are so good for this. When you're standing across from someone else with a Joe or a sword, eventually your emanation only increases. That conduit, that live wire that's connecting you only gets stronger and more penetrating. So I start hanging out, grounded, outward flow. It's only getting, I was going to say bigger, but bigger is not the only thing, because you can get bigger, but then more diffuse, right? You can get bigger and more diffuse. We don't want to diffuse our integration, our energy and power. So it gets bigger, but also thicker, bigger, fuller, not expanding and diffusing. So it only gets more grounded, more full. It only gets, the dimmer switch only turns on brighter and brighter and brighter. So just be conscious of the fact that as you get big, maybe you're extending, expanding, but is that diluting? So for example, that's maybe where some of this could happen. I'm expanding as I turn. I'm expanding as I turn. But I lost the grounding, or I'm expanding, getting dilute. So you only increase the outward pressure. The outward pressure only increases. Try a few on your own, because I don't want you to get distracted by my counting for this. This is very intense mentally. It's a very strong meditation. So try that on your own timing, where your groundedness and your expansiveness only gets thicker, only gets more palpable with each millimeter of movement. I'm going to add another element to it. It's better for sure. Have your mind, the movement of your mind, that feeling that's filling the space and getting stronger as it does so, that's moving faster than your body. That your body, or to put it the other way, your body is not moving at the same speed as that. Your body is not moving faster than the key. It's not even moving at the same speed. So your body movement should be slower than your mental extension, your mental flow. It should be slower. Okay, let's try this. When you do the Tenkai, this is going to be mechanical, but I think it will be a real good trigger and a real good methodology to click into this. On purpose, when you do the Tenkai, go a quarter the speed that you want to go. Be really, really behind your mental movement, your mental turn, your mental filling, your mental extension. Like not even half speed, like a quarter speed on the Tenkai. Let's try that a few times. Yeah, that's a really It's interesting this is happening and coming up because we've stumbled upon a very, very important trigger, going slower. So before I even ask for your feedback, let me ask you this. Did anybody notice, and maybe we need to do it a few more times, anybody notice what happens to your body, anywhere in the body, or changes that happen in your body when you do that, when you slow down, but your mind does not slow down? Try it 2 or 3 more times and try to be present in your body and notice what happens, what changes. Anybody notice anything?
I mean, what I notice is just it takes out all the little doings, like all the little holding balance, all that, because it just happens.
Nice. Yeah, it kind of smooths things out. Takes out, okay, all the little doings, improves the balance. Yeah, it's like it fills all the nooks and crannies. It fills all the spaces. It makes things smoother. So that's a very good observation. Excellent. Yeah. Anything else?
The first time I did it, I noticed off balance. You know, I could tell where I was leaning back. So,
Okay. You could tell where you were previously leaning back.
well, when I slowed down, I actually just really could feel myself moving back. So
Okay.
maybe I was doing that before. I don't know, but it really made me pay attention to being more centered, I guess.
Right. And of course, moving slow, it's always better to get a more of a sense, more acute awareness of what we're doing mechanically, both in non-movement and in movement. It's so important. Okay, I'm going to give you a further hint. Do it a few more times and place your awareness in your abdomen. So we're not going to get to all the program stuff originally planned because of the group today. It's an opportunity to get into some deeper, more subtle things, if you guys don't mind. So when people are still learning these moves, stay more on track with just the footwork, posture, and movement. But there's tremendous things to be mined out of this work if we're ready to do the mining.
Yeah.
Your abdomen?
Oh,
Yeah, Danielle, did you have something? You're coming up to your mute button.
When you said think about your abdomen, I wasn't holding my breath and holding my stomach in when I was slower.
Okay. So then in retrospect, you notice that I was holding my stomach in and the breathing wasn't quite as much there.
Right.
Okay, excellent. That's a really important awareness. Anything else? Anyone else?
I mean, yeah, for me, like, I mean, and probably I didn't mention this before because it just seemed to make sense. Like the whole idea that it's hara led, that if the mind's the first, this sense of this space move first, and then the body coordinated around it.
Yeah.
So especially in the turn, it's like the hara is fully making the turn and the body just kind of arrives afterwards.
Yes. Right. And Bonnie, did you have something? You wanted
Oh
to
yeah,
say?
no, Cheryl put it way more eloquently than me, but I think it made it so much smoother.
Yeah.
It was a real easy movement.
So yes, what I noticed was that when I slow down physically, slow down my turn, my tenkai, but my mind continues strongly forward and gets stronger and thicker as it goes forward, the hana just expanded. I mean, physically. So Danielle, you said exactly, that's really what you're saying. Yeah, oh, I noticed that, my stomach or what area wasn't as tight and the breathing a lot. So that will only increase. So for me, that was a poof. And it sounds like, Cheryl, that might have been a very strong energetic quality and sense. The hara turns me.
Mhm.
And so that translates to physically this really opening and releasing, opening, releasing. And so you kind of, it may sound weird and kind of crude, but you literally physically take up more space. But that's just a small, there's only a certain amount that you can do that, right? That's relatively small. The energetic aspect is far bigger than that. It's exponentially more than that. But it's really interesting when that triggers the physical body to open. So if you haven't done it on the other side, let's do a few more and make sure you get the other side as well. So if you want to stay with that technology of slowing down, really slowing down as you do the tenkai, but everything else doesn't slow down. Okay, so let's take this into the next step in the same program. So we do tenkan instead of tenkai. So irumi amiashi tenkan. Same approach, same technology. Expand the hara. Don't try to turn around with any speed. In fact, consciously make the tenkan quite slow. Don't whip around. So irumi amiashi, fill the space before you turn. So go ahead and work that on your own time. So same technology. It works even if you just physically, purely physically intend and allow your torso to expand and open. If you just did the tenkai or the tenkan and just physically let your abdomen, your torso, everything push out, it would create the same energetic feeling. It would lead to the energetic feeling as well. So the physical can trigger the energetic, or the energetic can trigger the physical. So if someone's not getting the energetic so much, or that day they're not really tuning into energetic, if you just do it very strongly and willfully, very willfully physically, it will trigger the energetic. So as you do your tenkan, or slightly before you do your tenkan, physically release the torso. Like Santa Claus, big belly, but it's actually in all directions. Not just plopping forward. That's better than nothing, actually. But eventually, it's like a tire. It's the full tire around the torso. Okay, one other element to this. One other element, very closely related. And in fact, it might be very much what you're doing. So to a certain degree, it is what you're doing. But this can be another little trigger, another little refinement, that just makes it even more full.